The following dysfunctional gaming program was filmed in front of a live Twitch audience.
Hey, what is happening? I'm Thundercat. I'm with GM Patch Nasty today. We have a special guest here on Dysfunctional Gaming's Talking D&D. Today we're going to be talking with a friend of ours, a good friend of ours, Grif. You might know him as Grif P. Kane in the chat or also in Discord. But we've played a lot of D&D together, even though he lives in the UK. So
not to be confused with Australia, which he might sound like. He might
yes, he might sound like an Australian.
Specifically, Black Australian.
So yeah, we're gonna learn a little bit about Grif first, and we're gonna ask him a couple questions and see how he's doing, and hopefully we can have a good discussion about adventuring. Grif, so what got you into D&D?
Specifically, Patch.
I'm a virus when it comes to D&D. I just latch on.
You're right with the what. He is a what. Patch is a what.
It was always something that I wanted to get into. Like, I knew of D&D. I obviously knew all the stuff it's based on, like Tolkien and all the rest of that. And I had started playing Dark Heresy, the Warhammer roleplay with some friends, and that campaign ended up lasting like 7 years. And then I mentioned to Patch that I'd played some tabletop. I'd played a campaign at Pathfinder, and he was like, "You want to play D&D? Fine, I'll put a D&D session together." And then he roped Vandalin, and then he roped you into it too. And then I ended up being the GM somehow.
Yeah, that's right. You ended up taking over DM at some point.
That's when I really clicked, and it was like, I love D&D. Like, it changed my life.
You're welcome.
It did. I'm not lying. I wouldn't know people that I know. I wouldn't talk to people that I talk to if it wasn't for D&D.
Hey, Umlaut, how you doing, bud?
Speaking of which.
Hi, buddy. Sorry, I sidetracked a lot.
Pat, you got any questions for Grif?
I have a couple. First, as a player, what's one of your favorite aspects of adventuring? Like, just for let's bring the topic into it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of it, but what character specifically did you like adventuring with? Because we've had quite a few characters that you've been, or NPCs that you've gone with the party.
As in, which characters did I enjoy going off and doing stuff with?
Yeah.
Alston, definitely, because he was just he was one of the first players I played with that was just good. 100%, everything about him was good. I do the right thing, I do the good thing. And I hadn't really come across that. And being a shithouse and trying to get around that was quite fun and interesting.
That's when you were Evil Vree, right?
Yeah. Yep. Going completely off the wagon with Zaphod has completely changed how I look at D&D. I like you want to bring Daleks into it? Sure you can. You want to go to space? Sure you can. Why not?
Yep.
If it's a homebrew campaign, you can do whatever the hell you want. And as a player, especially in the campaign we're playing now, because I've had more time as a DM and I'm playing as a player again, and it's I just want to draw shit out as much as possible. I want to make the most of the world the DM has built for us and just derail as much as I possibly can to get more roleplay and such out of people. And yeah, it's all his fault.
Now, second part to that question now. You've been a DM and a player. Which do you prefer?
I think for lazy reasons, I'd say a player, because I don't have to put too much thought into. Oh, I've got D&D today. It's just I could just jump into my character and go. But I do like creating shit, and I like trying to give either reasons for the party to be together, to keep them together, or to cause discord if they're getting on too well. Just especially the way we did my homebrew, with the one I originally ran you two and Vandal through, which got to a certain point, and then Patch took over.
Yeah, we went off the rails, and then we went to space, and I just kind of threw as much crap as I could. I was like, I want to throw as many sci-fi tropes into D&D as possible, and then we tossed it down to Thundercat, where we had like that rotating DM, and we went to Vrist, and Vrist sucked.
Yeah, especially for happy characters like Bob and Zaphod. It was like, nope, we'll do lawyers. I forgot where I was going now. Yeah, sorry. I redid that with my friends from work, and I roped Patch into it too. I've tried to rope Kevin into, but unfortunately his schedules never seem to match up, because I just wanted to drop Alston into the middle of it all, the absolute chaos of everything that was happening. It was around the point where Star showed up and Vivi went mad. It was like, nope, not having this. He's evil. Fuck the lot of you. I'm off. And it's like, I wanted to drop a proper, full-on another paladin into that and see what would happen. But we expanded on it, and we expanded on the world, and I let them expand as they built their backstories and added it into the world as we were doing before. Yeah. And now Rob is our Umlaut is our DM, and he's taken that and put an entire new continent on it. So the game we're playing still continues the threads from the very first game that I played with you, Vandal.
Very
Patch.
Very, very Critical Role-esque.
Yeah.
I suppose Patch did get me onto Critical Role as well, so there's that too.
Okay, I have a question for you. If you were one of the monsters from the monster manual, what kind of monster would you want to be?
I want to answer that question too.
I'd be a werewolf.
Like a straight up werewolf or a lycanthrope?
Like you'd see the moon and then just be in like a craze?
No, like full wolf shapeshift type thing. Like big ginger werewolf.
All right. Like it. Patch, go ahead, answer.
I want to be Beholder. So bad. So bad.
I want to be a dragon and just like lay in gold.
Oh, it's just what I want to be.
Well, I mean, if I was to be one, I would probably be like I'd probably be a vampire, but I'd be like a shitty one.
I would be the Nyuk Nyuk, the floating gold skull from Tomb of Annihilation that flies around you like an ion stone that just tells bad jokes and gives you disadvantage on everything.
Because the wizard killed you and made you into this thing, and it was like, that's what you get to be from now on, you idiot.
Yep.
Sounds like a good demise for certain characters.
All of them.
Zaphod, particularly.
I still have a one shot.
I took his god powers away. I took his god powers away, and he was not happy.
All right, we've Patch. Do you want to ask him any random questions about D&D, or we want to get right into it?
No, I got nothing. I had to think about it. No questions.
Okay,
I asked my one question.
All right, let's get into adventuring, boys. So there's a few things that go with adventuring, like how much time you want to spend adventuring, the movement through cities, over landscapes, through deserts, whatever your environment might be, social interaction, and resting and in between adventures. So that's a basic rundown of things that would happen during your adventuring. So let's dive into it. What do we think? Do you want to start with like how much time it should take?
For what?
To
Well, I mean,
adventure?
it depends on what you're doing, really.
Well, there we go.
Like-
Go for it.
Adventuring, like if you're traveling to like between cities, that's going to take time. That's when you would travel at like days pace. Like these things happen over a current day. If you're in a city, that's where I would do like hours. And then combat, as always, combat is seconds. And then you have chase scenes that can happen in minutes, but those are completely different from it. Well, they're parts of adventuring, but they're more nichey. But I'm more of a social interactions guy. That's typically my big thing. I like to yap. There are things that I read today that like I never really did food and water in like my homebrew campaign unless I was playing Tomb of Annihilation because it was right there, and that's kind of one of the main draws. But environment goes into it. But the travel pace really is what does it for me. Like that's the pacing of your adventuring. Like if you're traveling on a caravan and it's a 30-day caravan, it should be a couple of sessions. Like
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't be like, okay, you start and go, and then
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
here, you made it.
Unless that's the kind of campaign you run where you do just jump through. Oh, it's been a month. What are you guys doing? Oh, it's been 2 weeks. What are you guys doing?
Well, you're also as the from a player's perspective. I'm like I've done it. I was on the outside end of me giving Thundercat a year off, and I was like, "What do you want to do with that year?" And then give me some stuff, and then he wrote something completely different, which I kind of figured. But like as a party member, like marching order is kind of important if you're traveling by foot, or in the Underdark is a big one for me.
Yeah, that
but
environment really comes into play when you're talking about how long it takes to do something.
Yeah,
So if you're moving through frozen tundra, it's going to take you a lot longer because it's going to be cold and your bodies aren't going to be able to function as well, and
it's probably going to be heavily obscured due to snow.
And the snow, it's probably going to have a lot of snow all over the ground that you're going to have to trudge through, or it's going to be icy and slippery, so you have to go slow. Like, depending on what your party's doing at that time, you really have to kind of be ready for it. So, adventuring can kind of give you that. You're gonna sit there for a few sessions just traveling.
Yep. Get used to it. I mean, you're gonna have encounters in those traveling. Like there are other wagons that you could go talk to or not talk to for an entire trip, and then just kind of focus on something else.
There are 3 movies over 3 hours long about a dude walking somewhere. That's
Right.
the setup for D&D.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
could take a while.
So yeah, I mean, I think that the social interaction is what keeps me coming back to doing travel stuff. Because I like the caravans. I like having the goofy people that are in the caravans. Like you have, there's a man that sells oils and incense, and you go over to the guy, and he's like super like aloof, and hello, yes, I definitely sell the oils.
Why is
and
he shaking his
you're
head?
like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I want these oils or if I want to give you a big hug. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is what and then the next caravan down is a guy selling meats, and he's an orc, and he scares the shit out of you. You're like, okay, I don't know if I want to get meat from that guy. You know what I mean? Like that's the fun part about the social interaction.
You've used before?
Yep.
No, that's an NPC. I don't think we interacted with once on a caravan for Horde of the Dragon Queen.
Yep.
That was the only interaction we had, and then we sat in our
It's
wagon.
just, as soon as you started doing it, Pat was just like,
I was a monk who didn't, like I looked at that. I was like, this is stupid. It's scented oils for your hands and your feet. These are weapons. That's dumb.
So yeah, that was the fun. That's the fun stuff about the social interaction for me.
getting to know the other characters in a genuine way. Like instead of being like, "Oh, what's your backstory?" It's like just asking the right questions, or a completely random question at the right time, and you get a bit of back and forth, and that character could grow. Like apparently, I missed a good session yesterday where there was quite a bit of growth. So I'm
Yep.
excited to get back to that.
I also bought a stall and then gave away all the food.
I heard.
Yep.
I said to Rob was telling me, give me a rundown, and he was saying how you guys helped orphans and stuff. I was like, I hope he realised all of those kids are now Dax's kids. That's just how he works.
Dax
He
is
will
still
die for them.
Dots.
Yeah, so I like where you were going with that. With the party building is a big thing with the social interaction and adventuring. Like you're walking down a dark corridor and the rogue disappears and the barbarian goes, "Hey, where'd Esther go? Why? What? I don't get it." And then you're like, "Oh, because the wizard's like, because that's what she does." You know what I mean? Like the wizard knows and the barbarian doesn't, and you're like, the barbarian's like, "Oh, he's one of the sneaky type." Like that's just like you could kind of play it off, but it's still social interaction. It's still party building. Like you're learning about that character.
Because you can use that to help develop the party to grow together, or you can throw something in. I mean, if you're running certain campaigns where there might be reasons not to trust each other, that makes the social stuff more fun. Because people keep trying to catch each other out. Like casting Zone of Truth.
You're looking at me.
Me?
You, Thundercat.
I cast it a lot, but no
No,
one
I'm
ever
lying.
fell. No one ever fell for it. Joseph is the barbarian, except it's a lot more gravelly. It goes further down than that. So what about like different environments that like adventuring parties could encounter? We talked about the Underdark. Like, talk about that a little bit more and how
The Underdark sucks.
Like how things different in the Underdark than they would in like the city above.
Well, in the Underdark, it's dark. You are underground. The only light is from your torch or from the crazy fluorescence which runs through some of the rocks. But that's a completely different environment story for that.
Or mushrooms that glow.
Or mushrooms. Or phosphorescent mushrooms.
Yeah.
In a city, it's bright. There's going to be people who are probably in a happier mood than people underground who don't get to see the sun. So there'll probably be vast different foods. Smells will be different completely. Like, it's up to the DM what they want, like, for you to retain. Like, if you go into a city, during the day, during, let's say, a carnival, I expect to hear the sounds of, like, some sort of musical band, smells of, like, popcorn and Spitfire meats. I would probably hear also people laughing, or I would, like, see little fireworks going off, maybe people running by with faces painted, smiling people. In the Underdark, you would probably see no one.
What if there was a festival in the Underdark? What would that be like?
Probably a trap to turn you into a slave for the drought.
But listen. The Drow do celebrate, but they celebrate very weirdly. So their festival would look a little bit different than an above ground festival.
Using our current adventuring party,
lots of spiders everywhere.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of spiders. The Driders would come out. It would be pretty.
Just put some tinsel around the Drider's arms.
Drow culture is kind of reminiscent to, like, Egyptian culture, how, like, queens were held in a higher position than kings. Now that I think about it, if you're comparing them.
And then a lot of them were just were workers.
Most of them are either slavers or workers.
Yeah,
I don't like that word. Do you see the unpaid workers?
Yeah, I didn't say unpaid. I said workers.
They are
worker bees.
Not paid, though, are they?
I was thinking more of like a hive, like where the queen's in charge and then everyone else just works for her.
Oh, so like a
That'd
beehive.
be each individual house, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that if you go to Menzo Baron, yeah, it would be each individual house, but they would still have like the high priestess or the mother matron, as they would probably call
Well,
it.
yeah, they're each house is separated, but they have levels. So like the number one is always the feared one, but they're always trying to get to that point, and like so there's a lot of backstabbing going on.
Oh yeah, don't trust anyone.
Yeah, so it's really fun. It's really fun to like hear like the lore about the Underdark.
Just stay above ground.
If you're gonna live in the Underdark, either you have to be
A drought.
very very powerful.
Or a drought. It would
Hey,
help if you're in a drought.
I was a deep gnome. I did pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, they do all right.
So,
But no,
all right,
But dark vision doesn't mean you can see in the Underdark.
Nope. No, it does not. But there's lots of different, like, depends on planes. Like, if you're in hell, it's going to be hot. So, if you're wearing armor, you're probably going to sweat on the inside of it. You might want to pick up some hide. It depends. It also, once again, depends on your DM and depends on how they want to run the environment.
That's a great point about the planes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What about that cog plane that you made?
Oh,
the world builder or whatever it was.
The Modrons. I took the Modrons and I just gave them a world where it built like cogs. Like the way it worked was you would step onto this big like turning gear, and as you turned, another one would come up, and then you would float on to the next one, like up to where basically what made the world turned. It was like a realm portal. I didn't really dive too much into it because they had other shit to take care of, but there was a lot of things that they could have done to fuck up everything.
Yeah,
we did one of those.
That sounds pretty cool. Like, carry on, sorry, sir.
We were pretty scared about the place, so we didn't want to fuck with anything.
Yep, one little switch.
It's like Yggdrasil, however it's pronounced, the tree that's in all of the 9 realms that connects the 9 realms.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Vandal, fuck that. Exactly.
The realms up. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Modrons, Tridrons, Duodrons, Quadrons, Quatrondrons. Like, I just took all the little goofy little mechanical things and made them paperwork. Like, you have to do paperwork when you do this.
Oh, no.
Like
and then like if you're in the Feywild, like that's a complete different adventure.
Yup, that's a completely different adventure for when you come back too, because that environment is one of those things where you don't know when you're going to come back, or you don't know if you're going to even remember going there. If you're not an elf or a half elf.
Yep.
And that's scary to me.
I like the Feywild. It's one of my favorite things to dip into.
It's a cool place until you start realizing there's a lot of things that'll just eat you.
Yeah, I like that. That talking about planes is very important in adventuring. Because anywhere you go, there's going to be different. The astral plane where you float around using your mind, like that's crazy. I don't know, all the elemental planes. So, like, if you're in there,
right,
like the Feywild, yeah, the astral plane, and then what was I just talking about? Oh, the elemental plane. So, like, you got the fire plane, you got the water plane. Like, if you can't,
isn't the water plane kind of like Waterworld?
Yeah, but it's basically Waterworld, yes.
But no Kevin Costner.
No, well, unless you make them.
So we can do Warworld then. That's what you say.
You can do anything with D&D.
Exactly, that's the point. Why, I made an NPC on the spot who became one of my most favorite characters to play, who just wanted to punch things. He got to punch a lich, a dragon, a Dalek, a Borg, and something else I can't remember.
All right, let's get into the next one. Let's see. Social interaction, we talked about a little bit. Do we want to talk about that anymore?
Unless you want me to go into my vocab. Because, I mean, that's...
yeah, because then we have resting, and then we have between adventures. You want to do between adventures first? Sure,
we'll do that, because I'm between adventures. I typically never. It's more or less me buying thing as a player. Where I have ill-gotten gains, where do I spend them?
Right. I like to try to upgrade my character as much as I can, either by buying stuff or learning a trait. So
Yeah.
I'd like to learn, if my character was an archer, I'd want to learn how to create my own arrows, or how to make stone arrows rather than whatever. I don't know, figure something out like that. Or I like eating, so I want to learn how to cook better, so I can cook better food.
Between adventures could be a good way to explain multiclassing as well.
We already covered that, but there's one that like recuperating. That you're absolutely that's you researching, putting your time into like learning how to be a wizard. One that I read today was recuperating. If you're diseased, you can, after 3 days of downtime spent recuperating, you can make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw and choose one of the following results. And one effect that prevents you from regaining hit points, or gain advantage on saving throws against one disease or poison currently affecting you.
That's cool.
Yep.
Good to know, because I didn't know.
What's Carlin's equivalent of Tomo's obsession with cheese?
Books.
What's Carlin going to be buying all the damn time?
Probably books.
I feel like books or information.
Yeah.
Because doesn't necessarily have to be books that you get information, but she'll definitely pay for it.
Knowledge covers it in one word.
There you go.
Yep.
Knowledge. That's the difference between intelligence and wisdom.
Knowing whether to put a tomato in a fruit salad.
Correct. All right, yeah, so that's some good things to do between adventures. Yes. Recuperate. Learn trait, maybe.
Training.
Research. Go
Crafting.
do multi-classing. I like it. Crafting.
Crafting could even extend to building, like building a tavern, helping build a town.
Go buy a house.
Yeah.
Basically, these are all ways to drain your money for a DM.
And it's honestly, it's why people want to keep playing, because they can buy things.
Yeah,
like, I own a fake house. Let's do this.
Yeah, I have something I can't have in real life. Let's carry on. I want the biggest.
But a warlock could always sell a tomato fruit salad in downtime with the charisma stat.
Just you wait. Just you wait. It's gonna happen.
All right, let's move on to the vocab. Let's talk about descriptive versus active role playing.
Well, it's something near and dear, because some people aren't really super into role playing and doing silly little voices to distinguish when your character is talking and when you're talking, and like acting out scenes. So for those of you who don't do voices, you could more or less I'm going to take the verb from here. So Tordek spits on the floor, growls an insult at the bard, and growls an insult at the bard and stomps over to the bar. He sits on a stool and glares at the minstrel before ordering another drink. So that person gave away their mood, but the things when you're descripting is describe your character's emotions and attitude. Focus on your character's intent and how others might perceive it. So I'm just going to close my eyes right now. And so as Tomo and Dax walk into the cheese shop, you see Tomo's ears kind of perk up as his chest begins to puff out, and you see his tail begin to flicker back and forth. You can easily tell that Tomo is very, very happy to be smelling something cheesy and excited to be there. Actively, you could... Oh boy, it smells absolutely lovely in here. Ooh, what's that? Ooh, there's another smell. That's a smell. Hi there! And I'd like to walk over and say hello to the person I don't recognize, please. So it's getting more comfortable role-playing as a character. If you... A big thing that I say when I DM, close your eyes if you're going to describe something, because it'll help. Because it's all you're focusing on. You're not being distracted. So if you close your eyes, how is your character feeling to be here? Exactly. If they're happy about, like I'm on an island where every building is made by hand and not like brick and mortar and look exactly the same.
Hey, it's brick and mortar. Hey, it's brick.
Yes, exactly. I'll be more inclined to be happier and, be in a positive mood. And then if you're comfortable with doing a voice, you can just kind of talk a little bit higher and, this is Tomo and oh boy, hi, I'm Tomo. That smells lovely. Could I buy that? As I pick up the giant cheese wheel and kind of hold it up like a little kid. How much is this, please? It's mannerisms go a long way, and it also it gets your DM to kind of want to do stuff like that as well.
100%.
Cool. I like it. Do you have anything do you want to add to that, Grif?
I would say that it's worth trying a voice out for a character. You don't have to, obviously, but if you can find something that sets your character apart, even if you just slow down how you talk. Like, I have two characters that basically sound the same, and it's just you talk, you don't like stumbling upon my words. But when I get into the game and I start doing it, I start to think like, well, Bob's too dumb to understand that, or Dax would take that as aggression and punch someone for it. So I just think it's worth trying, even if you just use your normal voice, just go for it.
Yeah,
Won't make
hold on.
People might laugh in the instant. Like Patch has made me laugh many times with the voices he does, but often on purpose. But once you give it a go and you actually do it, people will understand that's that character awesome. So when I'm talking to that character, that's what I expect to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I still don't do accents.
Nope.
I've been trying to do. I can do like a Southern English accent. I can't do a British accent. I can't do a UK accent.
Okay. No. What he means, Grif, Southern English like us, like American, Southern American. Is that what you mean?
Oh,
Well, no.
okay,
Well, we
yeah.
speak English.
Okay.
But yeah,
so
Southern
talking about
American.
Southern
Yeah,
wrong.
Southern American.
Yeah.
I meant like I don't speak. I don't
Really
have a British
confusing, and
accent.
I was like,
I can't do
need to hear
Australian, but like I can do the draw from like being down in Tennessee. I can totally get that down. You know, oh yeah. But I can do that, but I couldn't do any British accent right now if I tried, and it's
Well, you could
Patch
do
can
a
do-
British accent.
a British accent. See, nope. Not
Patch
even
could do
close. How?
apparently a good impression of me, so I've heard. As
Ah,
one of the dragons in your game was apparently Grif with my voice.
It wasn't really
That's right.
kind of like an accent. It was more of the diction in which you spoke, kind of a little bit.
But I definitely can
Just
change the
because we have the
octaves.
same name doesn't mean we talk the same.
I could change the octaves, and so that helped me when I was doing Austin. Hey guys, hi. Oh man, yeah, we're gonna go figure it out. Like so, or now I'm doing Joseph for Zombo Force, and it's like this all the time, you know. So
Hey, I'm Joseph.
hi, I'm Joseph.
That's
how-
of a.
That's how I get into it every time I need to get into Joseph. I go, hi, I'm Joseph. And then I'm like, all right, that's the one. That's where I'm at now.
That's how it was for Gad. Gad was always. I was thinking about other people and how they're just dumb, and I'm not even paying attention to them. There was Kador, who I would just talk like me, but I would put my feet up on things and just be completely disrespectful. And then there's Tomo, who's like a little kid, and I just talk like this, and I kind of trail off and say really weird things, like, "Can I have an eye patch?"
Yep.
So it was you that bought an iPad.
I bought 2 of them.
So, all right, let's move on to my thing that I brought for D&D vocab, which is going to be resting. During your adventuring, you're going to need to rest, and this is very important. You rest, you can get your attunements done. You can receive some spells back. You can get regain hit points. some spells are only able to be cast during rest. Some feats are only able to be used during rest. So there's a lot of things that can come into play during your rest. So short rests are normally an hour, depending on your DM. Some DMs do half hour. Some DMs use short rest as a week, which is like what is it called? It's like it's like, to make it more realistic. Because you're not,
I hate that person. I don't like that DM.
You're not magical. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
You're not going to magically heal when you wake up.
Right. So that's more of a more realistic way to do D&D. And then you have your long rests, which are supposed to be 8 hours when you do a 1 hour short rest. 8 hours of restful activity / sleeping. Depending on your race, you might only need to do 4 hours of sleeping and 4 hours of restful activity where you could read a book or go and look at the maps and figure out where your next stop should be, or go and do watch for 4 hours. As long as you're sitting there restfully, you can still watch and look around.
To add on to that, if you're a warlock and you have the one where you don't need to sleep, you can just read your book all night.
Yeah, and once again, feats and spells work differently during rests. There will be some things that come into play during that, but that's the basic gist. And it's, once again, good for social interaction. You sit around the fire and you're talking about the bard who's singing a song that he wrote, and it's sad and it makes you cry. And you're like, why am I sad? And he tells you that it's a real story and that he puts a lot of his magic into the story and it made you sad. He used your emotions against, and you're like, oh, what the hell? And I mean, there's a social interaction for just sitting around a fire. And once again, party building / fun.
Yeah, people get to show off
silly, goofy things.
Oh, I'm the party cook. Here's dinner.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Or I found dinner because I hunted it.
I used to love cooking when I was tackling.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm a druid. Here's a berry.
I love that. Love that. Are you hungry? Boop. Not anymore.
And so, also, like I said, you can regain hit points. And how do you regain hit points? You must use something called hit dice, right?
You get
Hit dice.
Tell us about it.
Indeed. Each class has a hit dice, which is the dice you roll when you level up for how much HP you get, plus your con modifier and other things that get involved. But when you are taking a short rest, you can spend some of them depending on what level you are to regain HP. So if you're in the middle of a dungeon and it's not feasible for you to take a long rest, but you really need some healing, everyone's out of spells or whatever, you could just take a short rest and spend some hit dice. And then try and get through the rest of the dungeon.
When you spend your hit dice, it would be the dice that you would roll. So let's say we're taking a short rest as Dax and Tomo. I would be getting it for my spell slots back because I'm a warlock. And Dax would roll his d12 plus your con modifier. We don't have a bard in the party, so there's no Song of Rest.
Clerics can do a thing too, I think, right? Some clerics.
I think so. I'm not sure. I've never really played a cleric.
I think there's a bonus. It's like a spiritual healing or something.
Something like that.
Like the same idea as the Song of Rest. It's just a cleric version.
Yep.
I think.
But
yeah, that's the little things that you can do during a rest. You get your HP back from your hit points, from your hit dice, and you can also level up your character. You get that hit dice to roll, or you can take that average. If now, what's the rule with hit dice that once you use, you get up to half back? I think that's the
real rule.
Rules as written.
Yeah,
you get half back when you take a long rest. So you use
all 4 and you take a long rest, you get 2 of them back.
2 back.
And then the next long rest, you would get, if you didn't spend them,
you get
the other 2. You get 1 of them back.
half of the hit dice that you have, right?
It's a slow thing, but yeah, it's
that's to do now. That's when you're running a dungeon. That would be fun. Think about like how hard it would be to get your hit dice back. Like it could make something fun. There's a lot of things you can do. You can make as a DM to make the rules work around stuff. So you can kind of create a few things and when you do, tell your players just maybe like, hey, this isn't exactly rules as written. I made a little bit of a change to a few things just so they're not like looking in the book, go, wait a minute, how is he doing all this stuff? Or like just explain to them that you kind of created something. About. You know what I mean? Just so that was a little DM information. But as a player, don't hold everything so. I've gotten mad at Patch as a DM, but because I thought I got gypped out of something, but afterwards he told me what happened, and I said, fucking right, you did that, good. And I was like, that's what you should have done, because I was like, I was the slippery thing.
Yeah.
I was so mad at you that time.
I think you need to explain this.
Okay, so I went into a dungeon. He tells us about the floors being slippery, and we're like, okay, like, and it just kind of like brushed by it, like it wasn't a big deal. And so there was a guy at the end of the hall that started shooting arrows at us or something, and I ran after him, and he's like, all right, give me a dexterity save, and I slipped because I didn't get the save right, and I was like, is this something I see? He's like, yes. I was like, okay, and I still missed the DC, and I fell. No. And I was like, why the fuck did I fall? Like, why am I half speed now? I was like, this is bullshit. I was so mad. And he's like, I told you that the floor was slippery. I was like, yeah, you fucking did. What the hell? But that's like, so like as a DM, you got to sometimes just be like, I told you this. Like,
yep.
But yeah, that was funny for that.
You always remember as a player as well that your actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Anything you say and do may and will be used against you by your team.
It's will be used against you.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, the amount of times that I've been like, okay, I'll sow a little seed here. And then the players start talking and like, well, that idea is better than what I had planned. Let's go with that one.
It's true. All right, yeah. So you get those hit dice back, like that, half each sleep, each long rest, which doesn't necessarily have to be a sleep. And so yeah, that's our D&D vocab for the week. We're gonna go over to a break for 4.5 minutes. We have our newest Tony and Joe's By the Docks, and our Swamp Piss bloopers commercials. So here we go. 4.5 minutes of great content. All right. We are back. You good, Grif?
I'm good.
All right. Good. Let's talk about some past experiences with adventuring. And let's start off with our guest here tonight. You have been adventuring for quite a while. Give us some of your more silly happenings while adventuring.
What you mean, like eating unicorn in the restaurant at the end of the universe or galaxy? Don't know which one.
Universe. It was the universe, but yeah, that's
yeah.
And
what was that like?
I went from playing a character with an intelligence of 8 to a character of intelligence of like 20 for 10 minutes. I just changed his dialect. Instead of being like, oh, my name is Bob, and all that, it's like, okay, chaps, let's go do this. Perhaps we could solve the problem by doing this instead.
That's really good.
A lot of my more silly stuff tends to come from Patch, but our friend Ryan was trying out DMing, so I let him DM a session when they went to his hometown, so I got to play as a player, and I was going to cast invisibility on myself, and then Patch was like, no, I can do this. And Umlaut polymorphed himself into a T-Rex that
Yep.
then Zap enlarged and then put invisibility on all three of us as we just fucking stomped through this dwarven town. And it's like, this poor first-time DM has built this town and deliberately trying to make us go a certain way through the alleyways and streets, and we're just like, nah, fuck it, straight through.
Yeah,
That's
that's what
probably
Patch
one of
does.
the funniest moments as a player that I've been a part of, because it was just chaos and naturally just got bigger and bigger, and it was like, well, I think we've completely ruined this for him. He's got to think on the fly now. With having people in a party as a DM, it's just you can't predict people, so just don't even try. I've tried so many times. It's like someone will either take something a completely different way and go off on a different tangent, or a random clue will send someone on a completely different quest that you had no intention of sending them on. But it's D&D and that shit happens. You have to adapt on the fly. And that's when some of the best adventures happened. Like, playing as Bob was one of my favourite things to do. And he was made up on the spot to go to space, basically. And a weird man came to speak to him. Instead of going off into the brothel, spent the night talking to him, buying him drinks, and offering to pay him to come and adventure with him. It was like, as the DM, it's like, I can't rationally think of a reason why he would say no. With the information I gave you, he's a single man, lives in the town. This is his job. He cares about the people that work here. You convince him to go. He went off and punched a fucking Dalek.
True.
Bob still gets mentioned as well. That's the thing I like the most. Because those wacky adventures, they stay.
Yep.
On the flip side of that, as Zaphod, buying those drinks for Bob, I literally had one thought in my mind that entire time. I was like, I would like a meat shield. That's not the party. I'm gonna buy this man drinks, and I'm not gonna pay any attention to the whores, and I'm gonna give him all my attention. And at the end of this, I'm gonna ask him if he wants to come see my spaceship, and he did. But I've been adventuring, playing D&D a long time. I'd have to say recently, some of my interactions with as Godfod, as I called him, was kind of fun. I really, really, really the one thing that I would probably do differently, because I like adventuring and I like role playing, I would have probably wanted to talk less as Barondir. Because Barondir, one of my traits was I didn't want to talk. Like, you grumble, and I was like, I'm a fucking talker. I can't do this. But in hindsight, I was like, I could probably do it now. But for party cohesion, I was like, I gotta talk. This is my chance to be dumb. Because I'm wise, but I'm stupid.
True.
And then as Gad, I was super impulsive. I like to role play. I like adventuring. That's my thing. I like to fill that role and talk to other people and see if I can get them to open up more or push their buttons, depending on what character I and what suits my main goal.
For me, I think adventuring, I enjoyed the whole Tackling arc with Flinmo, and how once that ended, we had that year to kind of like finalize what happened.
That was Flinmo and Growl Longbottom.
Yeah. So that was I enjoyed that as a player, especially being one of my first early games to play.
Uh-huh.
But I also enjoyed the Tomb of Annihilation being Alston playing a good character among just seedy people, just absolute yeah.
Hey, I started out as a good person. I just
Villainous people. You started off as a thief, which is bad.
You stole for good reasons.
feeling still bad. Unless you could
crux of
unless you could
week.
prove it like Tasselhoff barefoot that it wasn't, that you didn't know you stole it, that you thought it was someone dropped it and you were picking it up for them. So I enjoyed. Well, that's what he used to say. Oh, you must have dropped this. Here you go.
I was speaking from the DM's perspective from Vree. I was like, there's no fucking way that he could say anything about that because I gave him gloves of the cunning thief that give you a +10 to sleight of hand. No, go ahead and try and tell me. There's reasons why he was covered in stab marks.
Vree was the worst thief, and it was like I tried to steal something, and it didn't work.
Every time
we fell out with someone, a whole group of people that would have supported us. And because I failed, Patch gave me the floor that I think I'm the best thief in the room at any given moment. And I was like, well, that just means I have to steal more. And he always got caught. He was so bad.
worst thief ever.
Why do you think I stopped stealing?
Because you're
I'm too busy on this redemption arc now to bother stealing. I have to make it up to Olsen. After mercilessly stabbing my new best friend after bonding over drinks. Like, take a wisdom test, a wisdom save. Oh no.
Blech.
Fail. Stab your friend. Oh no. I rolled a natural 20.
And he's asleep.
Dead. Okay, moving on. From our
Sorry, Vandal,
past
I'm still
experiences. What's that?
Huh?
I said, I'm sorry, Vandal. I'm still sorry.
Moving on, we'll gonna go over to the creation zone. Let's figure out what Carlin wants to do after they finish this dungeon.
Well, there's a high-level wizard.
I mean, they probably should rest.
Mm-hmm. They'd probably take a long rest, and Carlin would probably chit-chat with Throckmorton Dingleberry. While Quintillion tries to talk, but he's not really getting too far. I think Quan would probably try to preach his god to the dwarven friend, whose name I've already forgotten.
That would be Jurgen. Goblin's Bane. Quan will try to preach to Jurgen.
That's just short term.
Oh, I see name Jürgen, yeah?
Yeah,
you speak like this, I think, yes? Maybe?
Yeah. Jurgen Goblin's Bane.
Hi.
Okay, he needs a deeper voice than if his last name is Goblin's Bane.
She the dwarf.
Her. My bad, I apologize.
It's okay.
Won't go well. He doesn't care. And you said Quintillion?
Yeah, he probably just gonna talk and like do like the patch thing, like, you know, you two are having a conversation and I'm just like interjection with like the other part of a conversation that I'm having with nobody. Like, y'all are talking about like some deep philosophical stuff and I talk about throwing rocks onto a pond. You know?
Sounds good.
But it somehow fits the conversation.
So they'll have themselves a long rest. They'll get to know each other a little bit more.
Who's prepping dinner?
That would probably be the dwarf. Jurgen.
Yeah. I bet you Quint would be like, make me dinner.
Yeah, probably. Throckmorton would probably say you'd need to, no, that's the wrong spice. That's not right.
More seasoning.
All right, yeah, okay. I like that.
And
we'll add that into the story.
As they travel back to Candlekeep.
With the book?
Yeah, with the book, I think...
I feel like they might go their separate ways for a bit. I feel like Quan will want to stay with Carlin, but I feel like Quintillion will have to go home and Carlin won't want to split up the party.
Sounds like a right at crossroads.
And I think I think Carlin would say, "Hey, we're gonna go with you, Quintillion, to where I think we said Baldur's Gate was where he was from."
Do we have to? It's Baldur's. I don't want to go to Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is terrible. Where else is there? Can we go back to?
We're gonna go to Candlekeep, and then when we leave Candlekeep, they're gonna go their separate ways.
All right. So, I think Carlin might try to read the book.
The one they just got?
Yeah.
I think she'd want to know what it says.
What's in it? Throckmorton. What is he doing? I think he would probably have some more business to attend to with the Order of the Gauntlet. Right? Is that what we're with? It doesn't really matter at this point.
Yes, it is.
Debrief.
We could probably go find a way to Neverwinter. Haven't been there in a while. There's some books there.
But
A lot better than Baldur's Gate.
books?
Carlin's in. He wants to go wherever there's books, knowledge. So the book that she found, though, was that the book we were looking for?
That was a book we were looking for. That was the
one we need to bring to Candlekeep to get the book she wants.
Yes.
Which is the Platinum Map.
Yep.
The Platinum Map is in Candlekeep. She got the book that needs to go to Candlekeep so she can look at the map.
I hear there might be a lead on this compass that you're looking for. Maybe in Neverwinter.
What book is there? What book did they get then?
Well, it was written by the three gnomes in a trench coat. So.
Oh yeah, the BBG.
Yep.
The rest of the people.
Duke Baron von Bismarck Frederickstein Esquire.
The third.
No, it's not the third because that's just three people's names in a row.
Also give it away. That's right, it's not the third.
Ta-da!
Constructs and You. An
Constructs
advanced guide to building robotic alchemy things.
It's like an IKEA instruction manual for putting a sofa together.
In Gnomish.
Okay.
In Gnomish and then badly translated into something else.
Common.
Yeah.
L12.
Where do we put the poop bracket? What's a poop bracket? That's not even a thing.
Oh, wrong page.
All right, so that's good. I like that.
Construct
And then Throckmorton wants to go back to
Neverwinter, please.
We'll say that there's an area. How about we say Carlin wants to go to Neverwinter?
Oh, I've never heard of it. So yeah,
Well, she finds it on the map.
Ah.
And then we send her to
There's
the dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's send her to Hallister Blackcloak. I want to do that.
Or we could send her to the Xanathar
Yes.
in Waterdeep instead.
Yes, please.
You want to do that? She has to go to Xanathar.
Yep.
So it's Waterdeep,
Oh,
not
boy.
Neverwinter.
All right, so we're off to Waterdeep.
And Throckmorton wants to go with Carlin because he heard that she was going to see Xanathar and he knows.
I'm very curious to see how this unfolds. I very, very think this is going to go bad.
And that's what keeps Quintillion around because he would get really good marks if he went and saw Xanathar for this interim.
What's a Xanathar?
Jurgen gives him a little whisper in the.
Oh, yeah, I'm out. Y'all have fun. I'm gonna go back to Baldur's Gate where it makes sense. where people just get murdered in the streets. That makes sense to me.
Good old fashioned street murdering. At least he won't be driven insane.
Okay. I like it. I think we got good stuff.
Yay!
Got good stuff. All right.
It's funny because as you were mentioning earlier, like listen to other people's stories because sometimes you can steal bits and you can adapt stuff. It's like I've been doing that since you guys started this show. It's like, I could use something like that.
Yep. I do. Yeah. At work, when I'm walking around doing the mindless stuff, I just think about like what I could do to people in D&D. What characters could do.
I hear customers and I want to do the voice.
I like that.
Hi, I'm Tomo.
That's a little kid at work.
Howdy.
Howdy. You don't really say the W. It's howdy.
So next week on Tuesday,
what are we doing
for the next episode of Talking D&D? We're going to talk about the second D in D&D.
Dicks.
The big old dragon. The big...
You ruined it.
Big, long-necked dragon.
Yes.
Oh, Betty.
Fire-breathing, teeth-snarling dragon.
Intelligent.
Yeah, charismatic.
Yeah, we will be talking about dragons next week in our Talking D&D segment. From a DM's perspective, so it will be more of a monstrous night. We have some outro plugs for this week. Thursday, Patch does something with Vandal.
Oh yeah, we play console games. We play games. You watch us play games. We play games here Thursday nights, 8 p.m. ish, depending on when Vandal's kids go to bed. I think we're playing Destiny 2 or Borderlands or Monster Hunter or one of those games. We should play one of those games. If you like playing games, you come play with us. Wee games.
Right.
I'll be there
Friday.
when I'm not working.
Oh,
Friday.
We talk about things like this on this channel Friday nights at 9 p.m. Yep, that's the time. Stay on brand. This week we're talking about Twitch. Let's see how we will talk about things and probably get in trouble because that's what we're going to be talking about. But no, Pop Culture Podcast, we're going to talk about Twitch. We're going to do more of a roundtable. I know I'll be talking about why Impact Wrestling only streams on Twitch, which makes no sense because they don't have a TV deal, but kudos to them for having a wrestling company and thriving on Twitch, and their chat is toxic. Moving on, what are we doing on Saturday?
Saturday, we are releasing our 8th episode of Zombo Force. Joseph will be there. So come check it out. About 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m., probably 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. We'll be dropping that. And then we'll do some team games, probably a little bit of Duck Game, maybe some more We Need to Go Deeper for a little while. And then that's our Saturday night. But episode 8 of Zombo Force is the most important thing. And then Sunday morning, we'll be releasing it, I think, at 11 a.m.
Exclamation mark YouTube in the chat. Do it. Double D worked really hard on that command. Because I stared at it like this the last time when we didn't have it.
And then how about you, Patch? You going to be doing anything? You streaming this week? You back?
I am not really streaming this much because if you follow me on Twitter at GMPatchNasty, you know what week it is. It's Funky WrestleMania! WWE went to Peacock and took away all the stuff that I used to watch as a kid because they're terrible, terrible people. Fuck you, NBC. But Peacock is free if you sign up and you can watch WrestleMania. Yeah, WrestleMania. There's probably going to be a bunch of bullshit, and it's going to be great.
You don't even have to watch it live. You can watch it on demand.
Yep, and you can watch it at your own pace.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Fuck you, NBC.
Also,
but it is a big week of wrestling.
Also, this week, I think, actually, no, Saturday we're doing the Are we doing that on Saturday or Friday night?
Well, Friday night SmackDown. Saturday night at 8 o'clock is night 1 of
Saturday.
WrestleMania.
So at 8, yeah. Before Zombo Force, we're gonna do WrestleMania. We'll be sitting in Discord, watching it, and we'll be streaming our reactions to it. So if you're watching it, you'll be able to see our reactions to the show and us talking shit about how dumb something was, or how amazing that kick was, or wow, I can't believe that guy jumped from that high. You'll be able to see our reactions live. So I think that will be pretty cool. Saturday night, 8 p.m.
8 p.m., yeah, Eastern Standard Time, WrestleMania.
We'll try to probably start it a little early so we can get everybody in. Come check it out.
Well, the pre-show starts at dawn, so.
Well, not that early.
WrestleMania is usually like fucking 12 hours on one night.
I get it.
To hell with you. To hell with you.
I used to watch wrestling.
Yeah, but you stopped before they went 12 hours in a day.
Because I was smart.
No. Well, I mean, yes, but no.
I forgot about that.
Like what? 10,
Saturday
11
night
p.m. here and finish at 5 and 6 in the fucking morning.
Enjoy.
I've got to go to work.
Anyways.
Not this week. Not this week.
Grif, do you have any shameless plugs? You want to talk about anything? Twitter, maybe?
Just the ones in his beer.
Yeah, not really. Just follow me on Twitter at SpikeLKane, SpikeAelKane. That's my Twitter user. Hashtag Quest for Cheese.
Quest for Cheese is his D&D group's little.
I'll try and keep
they're doing.
Updating random little things as our sessions continue, and the obscene adventures that Dax and Tomo get into.
Exciting.
Possibly even some animations in the future.
Nice. I like it.
They're not good, but they'll be there.
I am Thundercat0420. I stream on Twitch at that same thing. You can go to my Twitter at that same thing. Everything's at Thundercat0420. And I have a hashtag that I tried to use, and it's called hashtag smooches. So everybody smooches. Let's raid over to someone. Do we have anything in mind, Patch?
Let's go through the Twitch archives. Let's see. Anybody online that I trust with people? Let's see. Satine is still doing couples D&D. We love Satine. Otsigo is playing some Kingdom Come. But let's go over to Baldur's Gate, because Baldur's Gate's dope. Co-op? Birthday stream? Oh, it's someone's birthday.
Let's go.
Hold on.
Let's go.
Hold on.
Go check them out.
That's what I'm doing right now. They're also very early in the game. Oh, don't go in there. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. That was the cave of death. I walked in that cave and I was like, nope. Fuck
you can
that
put
cave.
it in the. You can put it in the chat.
I'm about to. /raid at paste. I hit the button.
The button.
We are in the ending screen.
In the ending screen, we're gonna kick it over. The Nocturne 76. She got her vampire boy. Now what? She tried to steal some things and got it too. Not good for her. But make sure you stay happy birthday to her in the chat. It's a part 2. Boopity doop a doop boo. Toy Story.